do you want to complicate your life when God is trying to make it easier for you? Welcome to another enlightening moment on ESQ 360, where we attempt to answer salient questions from a biblical perspective in 360 seconds. Now, this is what happens when you like, comment, share, subscribe. It has a way of letting YouTube know that, okay, this content has generated some interest, so they suggest it to others. And so it becomes our ministry because you would have helped in spreading this message to more people. So alone, I reach out to you, but together, we reach out to more. Thank you. So our question for today is it okay to live together even though we are not having sex? Now, I'm talking to Christian couples in a relationship. I'm talking to Christians who are convinced that they can live together without disobeying God's command on fornication. I'm talking to Christians who have given themselves cogent reasons why they must live together before committing themselves in marriage. Now, what's your most enticing and favorite meal? For me, it's chicken and chips. Like peppered chicken, not just chicken, peppered chicken and chips. Allow me to paint a scenario here. Scene 1. My father shows me this delicious delicacy already served on a table in a fancy restaurant and says, I already paid for this meal, but I prefer you to wait for that official day when we will all watch you and rejoice with you as you relish your favorite dish. And so I promised myself that I would not at all attempt to enter the restaurant, and so I decide to wait for the appointed day. But every day as I walk past the restaurant and I just catch a glimpse of that delicious food, I can't help but wish the days roll by. And that's it. I just wish the days roll by. Scene 2. The same conditions play themselves, but this time I choose to go and pick my plate of delicious chips and peppered chicken, since it has been paid for, and bring it to my house. And I tell myself, I'm not going to eat it. I'll just wait for that day. I'll just keep it here in my dining and wait. But every day as I move around the house, the pleasant aroma just they enter my nose, the colorful meal they enter my eyes, day in, day out, while I still try to keep my promise of waiting till that appointed day. Now consider these two scenarios. Which of these scenarios subjects me to greater subtle emotional torture of my God-given desires and appetite? Permit me to ask again. Why do you want to complicate your life when God is trying to make it somewhat easier for you? I use the word somewhat because, of course, the Christian life isn't that easy. Now, to answer this question, the Bible didn't expressly tell us that it is sinful to live together before marriage. But when I read Genesis chapter 2 verse 24, which says, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two will be united as one. The understanding I get is that the joining of the two united in one connotes marriage, and that happens after a man leaves his father and mother. So when a man chooses to leave the domain of his parents, God expects that he goes to create his own domain with his wife in marriage. Now, it doesn't mean literally always that it doesn't mean living like living, and it doesn't also mean that the moment a man leaves, he must be married. But it means that if he must create a domain with a woman, it should be in marriage. So what does living together before marriage do? Number 1, it creates more temptations to sin. The Bible calls us to flee from sexual immorality or anything that causes us to sin. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 18 says, flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits is outside his body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. From Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, while addressing the issue of adultery, in Matthew chapter 5, Jesus equated any lustful look to adultery. He also advised that if your eye causes you to sin, cut it off and throw it away, for it is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to enter hellfire. Now tell me, if there wouldn't be times when you will be lustfully attracted to your girlfriend when you're living with her. And going by Jesus' advice, cut out anything that will cause you to sin, including that man or woman you're in love with. 2, you have a tendency of making others stumble. Romans chapter 14 verse 21 says, don't tear apart the work of God over what you eat. Remember, all foods are acceptable, but it is wrong to eat something if it makes another person stumble. It is better not to eat meat or drink wine or anything else if it might cause another believer to stumble. This text can be applied to the issue we're talking about now. So even if your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you're living together without sleeping together, if let's say you are not doing so, And you have this Christian couple in your church that are looking up to you and they notice you're living together. Please, what kind of message are you passing across? And if you think you are strong, please, are they strong? Do you know their level of strength? Don't you think you're causing them to stumble? As Christians, you have the responsibility of not doing anything that will make other believers stumble. This takes us to the next point, which is number 3, you are not as strong as you think. 1 Corinthians 10:12 says, if you think you're standing strong, be careful not to fall. Verse 13 also continues by saying, the temptations in your life are no different from what others experience. God is faithful. He will not allow the temptations to be more than you can stand. But when you're tempted, He will show you a way out so you can endure. God is ready to help you have victory over temptation, but that temptation should by all means not be incited by you. The same you needing God's help over temptation is the same you creating it. Or didn't James chapter 1 verse 14 say, temptations come from our own desires, which entice us and drags us away? So technically speaking, if you cannot be tempted by this girl or guy you're living with, are you saying you don't desire them? You don't desire the person you love, so your body now would. Clear your mind of the myth that living together before marriage is a trial period to determine if you're compatible or not. That's a clear expression of a lack of faith in God and a poor depiction of His love. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21 to 29, we see that the relationship between a man and a woman in marriage is a portrayal of the relationship between Christ and the church. And who is the church? It's you and I. Did He have to do a test run to see if He can put up with sinners like you and I? And is He not still putting up with us, loving us in spite of and despite our limitations? Why are we not ready to love like He loves us? I'm not saying pick up anybody and love, but there is that one person that God has created for you to make exploit. Well, maybe not one, because that's a subject for another day. But there is that person you're expected to fulfill God's purpose for your life together. And when you find that person, you are expected to love that person and know that that person isn't perfect. Love is not defined by how compatible you live together. Love is based on choosing to love the person despite their flaws. If you're engaged and planning to get married, you still shouldn't live together before marriage. Being almost married is not the same as being married. The Bible says marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all sexually immoral. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 4. You may be engaged, but you will still be defiling the marriage bed if you are not yet married. I hope you've been blessed watching this video. Thanks for watching. God bless you, and don't forget to live your life with eternity in view. Thank you.